5 sexiest attention-grabbing men's fragrances for fall 2024. I'm sure they're gonna get you a ton of compliments. Without any further ado, I want to start by House of Versace. At number 5, Versace Eros EDP. I prefer EDP over the other versions because at first it lasts longer compared to the newer batches of EDT version, and it is more fruity and, let's say, playful compared to the, for example, Flame version, which is deeper and slightly woodier compared to this one. It is like fruity, a little bit fresh because of mint, and at the dry down is sweet because of vanilla and woody because of ambroxan. Let's say I'm getting here apple, but citruses are more prominent here compared to the apple, and they are kind of added notes compared to the EDT. In the EDT version, we have not that much citruses. So this one is fresher compared to the old versions. It is a pretty well-known fragrance, but EDP is a bit underrated compared to the other versions. For example, compared to the EDT or Flame, gets crazy compliments for me. Lasts solid 8 hours plus on my skin, on clothing like 2-3 days, and projection and sillage is great for first 2-3 hours. Let's continue by House of Paco Rabanne, one of my absolute favorites from this house. It is none other than 1 Million Lucky, which smells crazy yummy. It is like very gourmand type of fragrance. It is like freshly baked cookies. I'm getting right now a ton of honey and plum together. At the dry down a bit, you can get some sort of creamy hazelnutty vibe at the background of the fragrance, or at the base, let's say. So it is like creamy, fruity and yummy, mouth-watering type of fragrance. It is my newer batch. You can see the bottle is darker. Before batches were clear, so a bit hard to get this one. I think it is discontinued, but it is tightly available still here in Europe. When I search it on the internet, I can find it, and still on a reasonable price, I have to say. So in terms of performance, I can get 10 hours plus longevity and 2 hours of average, I would say, projection. It is not a beast mode fragrance, but sillage is above average, has a very loud sillage, and gets very solid compliments, especially from women. Man, such a solid list. These are all must-have, believe me, in your collection. Let's continue by House of Jean Paul Gaultier, Le Male Le Parfum. Wow, such a beautiful, modern, sexy and compliment monster fragrance, I assure you, and has a very dressed up and at the same time casual vibe to it. I like it. It is very versatile. Just the only issue is it is better for colder seasons. That's reduces a bit versatility, but the rest is 10 out of 10. Performance, price, look at this gorgeous presentation and bottle. It is highly oily. Sometimes it gets rusted, that oil, in my atomizer, and it is very sticky type of fragrance. It is herbal fresh, nothing citrusy, but it is a fresh fragrance. I can say somehow it is green, fresh, herbal, and very sweet with a very strong and memorable character. It is one of those absolute signature scent-worthy fragrances. A 10 out of 10 masterpiece. I can get solid 12 hours plus longevity with this one. Projection is average, sillage is as well, but complimenting factor, I would say 20 out of 10. One of those must-have fragrances if you want compliments. Let's continue by a pretty well-known hype niche fragrance, which I believe deserves the hype. I'm talking about by Kilian's Angel Share. I am sure advanced guys have smelled this one, but for those who haven't, I have to say it is a very sexy, like just sexy in a bottle and dressed up, at some points unisex smelling fragrance. It is sweet, it is dried fruity. I can get some sort of dried date out of this one. It is a little bit boozy. Booziness is not to your face, for example, like Bentley Foreman Intense. It is way at the background, like a touch, like a very beautiful twist. I can get 5 to 6 hours plus longevity with this one. If you apply it on the clothing also, you can get like solid 8 hours. Some sort of performance out of this one. Projection and sillage is average. If you do like 8-10 sprays, you can get better projection and sillage out of this one, like close to good, let's say. Good 2 hours with good, also 2 hours sillage. Let's continue by a woman killer fragrance, which is a little bit underrated, but I really like it. At the very first impression was like, wow, what the hell is that? For me, I like the sweet fragrances that have some sort of weight to it. It is also one of those fragrances. I'm talking about Altair by Parfums de Marly. Oh my goodness, such a beautiful, manly, kind of bad boy or masculine vanilla, let's say, to this one. not that much bad boy, let's say masculine and like dressed up manly type of vanilla is here. And we have also amber at the background of the fragrance. This is like sweet, very little transparent smokiness at the background of the fragrance, and very little earthy, or let's say very little, not too much powdery, because of amber at the background. I'm not into powdery fragrances that much. This is very well balanced. It satisfies me because the settings are absolutely for me. Oh man, I can't get enough of this. In terms of performance, I can get 12 hours plus longevity with this one, solid 12 hours plus. With 2 to 3 hours, great projection and sillage. Leans a little bit more dressed up, but yeah, has that casual vibe to it, but I prefer it dressed up, and I prefer it better for fall, but has that power to cut that cold air out there for winter, but it is like sexier and more romantic. That's why I prefer it better for fall. Fall is a romantic season. Take care, guys. Ooh.